Hello and welcome to the Voices of BlueScope podcast, where we meet the people who work behind the scenes of BlueScope to create strength every day. I'm your host, Martin Feld. Thank you for joining us. In 2020, BlueScope has been pleased yet again to sponsor The Block, an Australian television series. The show follows couples as they compete to renovate and style a specified property, then sell it at auction for the highest price. This sponsorship has long been a great opportunity to highlight the benefits of premium BlueScope brands in building and construction, such as Colorbond and TrueCore Steels. This year, BlueScope repeated its successful competition for a VIP tour of The Block, giving one lucky employee the opportunity to visit the property shown on the program. Employees were encouraged to submit images of themselves in the relevant branded protective vest, along with any further creative content or attached story to show why they deserved to win. Our winning BlueScope employee for 2020 was John Conran, Senior Automation Engineer in the Hot Mills team at Port Kembla. He stunned the judges by submitting a creative work of poetry inspired by an Australian classic and his own home renovations. We headed to the plate mill in Port Kembla to meet John in person, hear about his submission, and learn more about his work with the company. Let's cross to the interview now. We're standing here in the office of John Conran here at the plate mill. Fantastic to meet you today, John. How are you?
I'm pretty good today. Yep, COVID-free.
COVID-free. That's what we like to hear. As a bit of context, we're here today because you have won the Block competition here at BlueScope. How does that feel?
That was a complete surprise. It was a different context being called into the conference room. So it's great to hear that. Yeah, fantastic.
Not what you normally expect on a Thursday morning.
No, I don't normally expect to see the level 3 manager in the morning meeting, so that should have been a hint at something.
A sense of foreboding, perhaps?
Something, oh no, he might be here because we had a good production month. So,
what was the entry that you put in for the competition? How was it that you won?
Well, I mean, the competition was take a photo, post it, and say something about why you wanted to go. So I thought the best way to do that was in a poem. So I regularly write poems, so this one was a natural.
What sort of poems do you write generally?
Amusing ones, generally. that and song lyrics too. So I do a bit of that.
And you share them around a bit, or do you keep them to yourself?
Oh, no,
Dickinson style in a drawer?
I share them around. I have a son who's a musician, so I've sort of helped to feed his inspiration as well.
The poem that you entered, obviously people liked it enough, you are the winner. Can you give us some background about the poem, what it's about, what the style is, and for people who aren't as familiar with poetry and might pick up on the reference in it, what's it all about?
Well, if you remember the poem, My Country, all about Australia, essentially, and I'm in the midst of a renovation myself, so I'm seeing some of the problems associated with pulling things out and then recreating them. And the words of the poem just came to me in the midst of removing asbestos sheets from the kitchen wall. So that's where it came from.
Perfect. So you've drawn from your history as a BlueScoper and your current COVID reno session.
That's right. Yeah, it wasn't deliberately COVID. We moved house sort of in June, but we knew it was happening. So COVID was sort of happening around the same time. Yeah, it's just everything aligned.
Great. How long did it take you to write the poem? Did inspiration just hit you, or it was fermenting for a while?
No, it just hit me. So 3 verses off the bat, basically, came out. The other ones took a bit more time, but if you're going to use another poem as a base, generally you'll find you follow the same sort of meter, and so it sounds pretty much like the original.
I haven't heard personally of many poems that have a sort of ode to industry in this way, and I think it'd be lovely to hear it. Do you think you'd be happy to read it for us?
Well, I could read it for you. I haven't committed it to memory, so I'll need to read it off the sheet, but I can do that. Would you like to hear that now?
I'd love to hear it. Let's do it.
The love of paint and plaster, of wood with shady grains, of ordered tools and workshops is running in our veins. Strong love of crisp white finish, grey trim and soft downlights. I know, but should I dare it? Renaults are otherwise. I love a stripped out kitchen, devoid of asbestos sheet, of holes in walls and gaps in floors where rodents come to eat. I love her little secrets under the cupboard floors. Old papers from the 60s keep out the drafts, I'm sure. The bright, bare, ring-barked cables behind thick plaster wall. The borer-drilled floorboards, a broom will swish it all. Stuck tangle of the brushes, left long in turpentine. Rainforest deck veranda, with oil it will be fine. Pain of my brain, my Reno. The budget never slows. The mess piles up around us, off to the tip it goes. But then the grey clouds gather, and we can curse again. Re-roofing of the sunroom, delayed now due to rain. Core of my bones, my Reno. Planned before contract signed, we oust the ghost of Renault's past, for bathroom and kitchen all designed. Engage the hungry tradies who eagerly quote the job. Progress it is upon us, if they ever arrive. So the jobs all take longer than scheduled back yonder, but the final result will be what we strive. 'Tis true the ranks of amateurs will try their hand at playing, to even out the timbers that run around the drain. But if by chance a choice is made, I might just turn to song, on hearing my selection, to the block to do inspection and to chat with those contestants, so I'll find out what over the years I have been doing wrong.
That's beautiful and hilarious. And a wonderful lesson in Australian vernacular for any international.
Oh yeah, that's right. Some of the words are particularly Australian, I think, even in the original poem they are too.
Yeah, really, really good. We'll have to include a link in the show notes for this particular podcast episode to the original poem so people can see just how beautifully you've matched up the meaning and the pace of this poem with the original.
That was important.
Well done. I think you're a worthy victor in this case. You can celebrate this.
Excellent. 25 words or less. 25. At least there wasn't a limit.
Yeah, you've blown past that imaginary limit. Now, I'm really interested in where we're standing at the moment, and we want to hear a little bit more about you as a BlueScoper. Can you explain what your role is here and where we're standing?
I'm a senior operations engineer, but my focus is mostly automation, but relating to quality and throughput. I've been working in the plate mill since 1985, as it stands. I started here back then as a metallurgy cadet. So I finished off my final year at uni, and I've virtually been in the same department ever since. So since 1985.
Wow, that's a commitment.
Yes, from about 1989, I've worked on the automation systems of the plate mill pretty much full time over that time.
You've seen a lot of history then, and I can hear plenty of noise coming from outside of these office walls. Can you explain what the plate mill is to people who aren't familiar?
Oh, a plate mill. Okay. It's Australia's only wide plate mill. We don't have any other mills in the country producing product as wide and with the range of thicknesses that we have here. So it's been running since the 60s, essentially. Originally started as an offshoot of the hot strip mill, as it turns out. So we had a 78-inch line that ran in the building next to the hot strip mill and produced thicker plate at that time, thicker narrow plate. This was built to satisfy a wider plate need. A lot of plate has gone into infrastructure in Australia over that time, and it looks like it's going to, certainly for the next few years, as the government has picked up their spend in that regard.
I get the idea that you're a real appreciator of history. Do you keep many things in the office here? I can see a great bookshelf behind you, in addition to books, ornaments, I can see some ties and pictures.
I keep everything.
You keep everything?
I don't throw anything out. So I've even got my old uni notes there from mechanical behaviour. So some of those are still useful to go through. But yes, I accumulate everything. I do like history. Even the bookshelf itself probably dates from the 60s or 70s. So it was rescued during the office renovation that we did last year.
Wow. So, keeping it for posterity. And I'm impressed that you still consult uni notes.
I've got uni notes, there's old SAS manuals there's metallurgy books, there's even electrical engineering books as well.
Is there something particularly quirky that you can highlight for us, something that not many people would necessarily know about, something that captures the local history?
The local history. There's an old equipment summary from 1984.
Wow.
Essentially. But it lists all of the equipment that was originally installed on the plate mill, specifications for it. It's the sort of stuff that's only available in paper form.
Limited edition.
Well, limited. You know, I mean, everybody would. Some people would remember the ring binders that cadets were forever asked to put together for managers. Various things. So there's quite a few selection there, and I've even got original notes from the plate mill development that happened back in the 80s. Well, there's one from January 1983.
Cool. And I can't resist but ask you one more question about the ties that are behind you. What can you tell us about these neck ties that are hanging here?
Well, that's an IEEE tie. That was gifted to me when someone left. But yeah, I mean, back in the 80s we had sort of BHP had a series of ties, like the mugs really, different colours for different divisions, and the blue was the slab and plate division, essentially BHP steel. But that disappeared when we became BlueScope, sort of in the early 2000s.
Who knows, further opportunities for fashion lines in the future.
We might change our company name again, who knows. It's quite interesting how BlueScope still remains relevant, and the product line is kept relevant, even though the population changes and people's desires change. We seem to be very good at following or leading the trends that are created in construction and building. I don't see that needing to stop or really stopping anytime soon. But as employees, we should all feel proud of working for such a great company.
Beautiful. Well, congratulations again on winning. It's a fantastic poem.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Thanay you very much.
Thanks for speaking to us today.
No problem.
That concludes our interview with John, and we thank him for the time that he took to chat with us. Thanks and congratulations also go out to all of the other BlueScope employees who participated in the competition with their own creative entries. Make sure to visit the show notes for this episode in your podcast player for links to other content that was discussed. For other news and updates, visit bluescope.com, follow BlueScope on LinkedIn, or subscribe to @BlueScope on Twitter. Thank you for joining us again for Voices of BlueScope. Until next time. Thanks for sticking around. As if John's poem wasn't creative enough, his son, who lives in Melbourne, had the bright idea of setting his father's Renovation verse to original music and shared the recording with us. Let's hear it now.
Oh, the love of paint and plaster, of wood with shady grains, of old tools and workshops, is running in our veins. Strong love of crisp white finish, grey trim and soft down lights. I know, but I should dare it, Renos or otherwise. I love a stripped out kitchen, devoid of asbestos sheet, of holes in walls and gaps in floors where rodents come to eat. I love her little secrets under the cupboard floors, old paper from the 60s, keep out the drafts, I'm sure. The bright bare-ringed barked cables behind thick plaster walls, The borer drilled floorboards, a broom will swish it all. Stark tangle of the brushes, left long in turpentine. Rainforest deck veranda, with oil will be fine. Pain of my brain, my reno, the budget never slows. The mess piles up around us, off to the tip it goes. But then the gray clouds gather, and we can curse again. Re-roofing of the sunroom, delayed now to the rain. Core of my bones, my reno, planned before the contract signed. We oust the ghost of Renault's past for bathroom and kitchen, all designed. Engage the hungry tradies who eagerly quote the job. Progress, it is upon us, if ever they arrive. So the jobs all take longer, scheduled back yonder, but the final result will be what we strive. 'Tis true the ranks of amateurs will try their hand at playing to even out the timbers that run around the drain. But if by chance a choice is made, I might just turn to song on hearing my selection, to the block to do inspection and to chat with those contestants. So I'll find out what over the years I've been doing wrong.